Now, I've talked about marriage, I've talked about selecting the right partner for marriage, but I haven't talked about the wedding yet. Okay, and so today that's what we'll be talking about, the all important wedding to a lot of people. And you know what? I suspect that quite a number of women, not saying all, kind of like fall in love with the idea of a wedding itself more than they do their partner, and definitely some really focus on the wedding rather than the marriage itself, which is actually not what you should be doing. You should be doing the other way around. But you know what? I guess everyone, to many little girls, they dream of one day walking down the aisle and putting on the wedding dress and being like a princess. And you know what? In this modern day and age, there is not many occasions where you can put on a gown dress, except at your own wedding. I mean, even if you were to go to a formal black tie event, there you are not likely to have anyone turn up in a ball gown type of dress. You know, think Victorian times, that sort of thing. So this is the one occasion where women are kind of like allowed to wear that type of dress and have them feel like a princess. So that because of that, I don't blame them for being all about the wedding and trying to make everything perfect and enjoy their day where they are the star. But ladies, please don't lose sight of what this wedding is all about. It's about the start of your life together, not the main event. Okay, because if you do, then you're going to be disappointed because the wedding is one day, okay, and the marriage is decades. So please keep that in perspective. So, weddings. One of the big things, even though people dread, even though it's a great thing and things most people like to be a part of, it's always the cost. Run up the bill. Who's going to pay for the bill? How much as well? Okay, so I thought I'd have a look, and in particular, just how much a wedding costs in Australia. And I think that because of the cost of living crisis and inflation in particular, everything has gone up. And especially, you know, wedding venues and catering and so forth. It seems like it almost doubled within the last, like, even 5 years in a lot of places. So having a look at this article, it may already be out of date because things are happening and moving so quickly. So this is an article from ABIA, which is Australian Bridal Industry Awards. And their survey reveals the average cost of a wedding in Australia from 10,000 couples over a period of 12 months. And in a recent study, couples openly revealed their original wedding budget and the actual cost of their wedding and the number of guests who were present to celebrate their special day. Okay, so what's the economic impact of weddings in Australia? Well, the answer is it's a staggering $1.9 billion in a country of 25 million people. So that is a figure that speaks volumes about the significance of weddings in our society. And with over 118,000 marriages taking place annually, the industry, well, it's a vital part of the nation's economic landscape, a lot of GDP, part of GDP. And one of the most remarkable aspects of the Australian wedding industry is its ability to keep the majority of its financial activities within the country. And this not only sustains the industry itself, but also supports numerous small family-owned businesses across the country as well. So let's have a breakdown of it. I mean, state by state, the biggest is expectedly, not surprisingly, New South Wales, tops the list with 1.94 billion. Queensland, 760 million. South Australia, 311 million. Victoria comes in at a second, 1.4 billion. Western Australia, 420 million. And they surveyed real couples to rate their review of wedding venues. And the 4 judging criteria: quality of product, quality of service, attitude of staff, and overall value. And the average cost of a wedding in Australia nationwide stands at $41,400. And the initial wedding budget on average was set at $34,160. So that is $7,000 difference. It's quite substantial, and which reveals that couples typically spend 18% more than what they originally planned for. It's very easy to go over budget. Sometimes it might be unrealistic because sometimes when you go and select stuff, then you select, I like the other thing better. It's a bit more expensive, willing to pay for that. And the other thing, I'd rather have that upgrade, and that seems better. And I guess things just add up. Okay, and the average number of wedding guests in attendance was 90.57. So I say a bit under 100 people. Now, that is a typical typical mainstream wedding. And as I understand it, a typical Aussie wedding, 100 people would be considered a large wedding, huge wedding. However, when you go into ethnic communities, that is actually, in a lot of times, that's actually considered a small wedding. Okay, I mean, something like Indian weddings, you have a few hundred people, as well as Asian weddings, typically a few hundred people, and Middle Eastern weddings, typically a few hundred people. I think a smallish wedding for them is like 200 or 300 people, and typical wedding for them is like 500 people, from what I've heard. Okay, so why is this the case? It comes down to, I guess, a lot of traditions. I guess because the couple, I guess, where the bride and groom's family, at least, or them, have to pay for the reception. And so because it gets pretty expensive, that's why the wedding guest list is kept low to minimize cost. Okay, that's why it's typically, I think it might be like something like 60 guests as an average, and 100 guests is a huge wedding. Whereas in ethnic communities, I guess in particular Asian communities and Middle Eastern communities, it's the actual guests that pay for the wedding. And why is that? Why did I say that? It's because instead of wedding gifts, they actually give money to the couple as a blessing. And the amount of money is normally, as politeness and form of decorum, is at least enough to cover their per head, how much it costs their per head in seating. And so it's pretty much, that's why it's just like the guests pay for the wedding, so to speak. And so the polite thing to do is at least cover your per head. And so that takes off a lot of financial pressure off the couple. Like, instead of paying all this money and getting all these useless gifts, or gifts things they've already won't have any useful for, at least the money then goes towards paying the wedding bill. And a big thing that would help couples is not to be stuck with being hit financially or stuck with a loan. Like, some people take out loans to just have a wedding, which I think is crazy if you have to do that. And so that really helps take the pressure off the couple. And anything that's left over, if they have really generous guests, then that goes towards the bride and groom's new life. Ask for them a little bit of gift to start the ball rolling on their new life. So that's with Asian and Middle Eastern weddings. But the thing, I think with Indian, it's a bit different. I think Indian weddings have so many people, they don't necessarily give money. I don't think they give money. It's more the wedding per head cost is low. That's why they can afford to have more people. But Asian and Middle Eastern weddings, I think Asian weddings, you have like 8-course banquets, and now it costs like $200 a head. And so people front up. That's why having to pay now like $200 a head for guests. And so that's why people don't bring their children to these weddings, because you've already taken up someone's spot that's costing them, the bride and groom, $200. So, and that's why. And why do they invite so many people? Well, one, it's not so much an ego thing, like, oh, look how many guests I had at my wedding. But one, it doesn't really, because if guests are polite, it doesn't matter how many they invite, because they're going to be covered. But it's also a matter of expectation that they be invited. It also forms a way of making social connections, and bonds are reaffirmed. And so if you're in, a certain closeness to the couple or the family, if they're not invited, they're going to think, oh, did I do something wrong that offended them? Are they angry with me? That's why I wasn't invited. Yeah, it's all understood, honestly. And not inviting that person would be seen as a snub if you're at a certain closeness, so to speak. And then it's also, yes, it's a good thing that people cover their per head, but also according to their standing in society and, of course, the financial capacity. For example, yes, you might, general rule is covering your per head. However, what you expect from a pensioner and what you'd expect from, say, a doctor, I guess that's a doctor that's coming to your wedding, would be different. So, say the pensioner might be paying, say, like come with $200 as a gift. You think, oh, you praise the pensioner. She or he, oh, can't believe they able to make that amount. Whereas the doctor that's fronted up to the wedding and also turns up with $200, I think, come on, you can do better than that with the way what much money you have. So you praise the pensioner and you tell off the doctor. Or just imagine if Gina Reinhardt turned up to a wedding and gave you $200. Okay, what would you think? She's paid the same amount as everyone else. She's like, but you praise the pensioner and tell Gina off. You think, come on, someone with that amount of money, you can do better than that. Come on. Then that is really being tight with her. You get my drift. So yeah, matter of expectation as well, and social, and of course, the closer you are to the couple, the more that you give as well. All right. Now, breakdown of wedding budgets. It's inevitable that couples are allocating more funds to their special day. And this trend is a result of couples prioritizing top quality vendors and services that bring that extra touch of excellence to their wedding experience. Whether it's a destination wedding, upgraded food options, unique entertainment, distinctive styling, or other personalized services, couples are choosing to invest in these aspects that enhance their celebration. While the increase in cost does play a role, a significant part of this upward trajectory in spending can be attributed to couples' deliberate choices to engage with trustworthy and reputable vendors that align with their vision. The expense of weddings hinges on several factors such as the guest count, the chosen time of the year for the wedding, whether it's a weekday or weekend event, the experience level of the vendors, the range of services required, beverage and catering preferences, and more. To offer deeper insights into the financial landscape of Australian weddings, here's a detailed breakdown of wedding budgets. Breakdown of couples' wedding expenditure is as follows. Less than 20,000 is 22.7% of the market. Between $21,000 and $39,099 is 39.9%. Okay, and between 40,000 and 60,000 is 31.1%. So that in the middle range is where the majority is. And between 60,000 and 100,000, it's 8.9% of the market. And over 100,000 is 5.4% of the market. So not surprisingly, that's the smallest part of the market. Those are willing to spend over 100,000, as much as a house deposit on their wedding. Though most of the people that are spending that amount would have no problems spending that amount. I think it's talking celebrity weddings and people that are well-to-do. Though I did hear of a couple of people that actually took out loans just to have their dream weddings. And in one sad case, I know of someone that has run home all about, I'm a woman, I can independent woman, do whatever I want. And when she was going to get married, ran home to dad and demanded that he pay for her wedding because it's a dad's responsibility, and she wanted her dream wedding. She wanted to come out of a carriage like Cinderella. And so he had to go and get a loan from the bank to give her that wedding. And the marriage lasted 1 year. How do you like that? And then when she got married again, she ran back to Daddy, I'm getting married. So he had to pay for a second wedding. If you're going to go for a tradition like that, okay, Mummy and Daddy pay for your wedding. Then on the flip side for tradition, he is supposed to choose who you're going to marry. So I don't think you can have it both ways. If you're going to follow your tradition, then it's all the way. He chooses the husband for you. And the way he pays for your wedding then. If you're going to choose your own, you pay for it. Or why isn't the man that's going to marry you be willing to put out a dime to marry you? Look, if a man is not willing to put out a dime to marry you, should you be marrying him? Seriously. Think about that. Though I suspect with a lot of women, cases they're too afraid to bring that up or push him in case then you say, oh, no, stuff it, forget it, not marrying you. If that's the case, should you be marrying him? Really think about it. Women, where is a woman's pride? Where is your pride? That you mean something, that you are worth something. Really. Think about it. Now, the most popular months to get married, and undoubtedly, I think this is the time, it's wedding season because it is the warmer months. So this is going to be a subject a lot of people are thinking about. Those that are getting married, I would have been planning around this time. And Australia is undoubtedly fortunate to enjoy stunning weather year-round, but the popular wedding months, of course, would be the warmer season, and in particular, March in the autumn and October and November in the spring. Because the height of summer is just really hot. And in Australia, it gets to 40 degrees, and not only the bride out there would have her makeup melting on her as she sweats it out and ruined all the photos, but also the groom in his suit, wearing a jacket. It's very uncomfortable, So I am not surprised that it would be autumn and spring in Australia. That is the most popular. So then warm enough that you don't shiver and be comfortable enough, but not hot enough that you would just sweat your makeup off. Okay? Yet a distinct pattern emerges across all states. December, associated with both the festive season and the heat, becomes the least favoured wedding month. The same applies to July in winter. And I'll tell you, winter this year in Australia, or at least in New South Wales, has been particularly cold. more so than everyone was complaining about it. However, that type of trend doesn't apply to Queensland because it's got mild and pleasant days in June, July, and August. So that's the reason why it's known as the Sunshine State. It experiences higher wedding numbers during the winter months, so making it an appealing destination wedding location. Considering a summer wedding in Queensland might warrant careful thought, however, especially if you're donning a suit, given the potential discomfort in warmer temperatures. So anyone that's lived in Queensland or been in Queensland would know not just the warmer weather, but warmer temperature, but it's the humidity that really gets you. Okay, you really feel the effects of humidity, and it makes things hotter and far more uncomfortable than what the thermometer would suggest. Now, on to celebrants, to the ceremony itself. Celebrants are a popular choice. And according to the Bureau of Statistics, there's a notable surge in the number of celebrants officiating wedding ceremonies in Australia, currently at 80.3%. So people are going less religious. And also, I guess, besides religion, you might have people from different faiths getting married. And I guess to resolve this issue of conflict, they just go, hey, let's just do it non-religious and just do it civil. It's legality. That's it. And if you're in the process of choosing a marriage celebrant for your wedding day, the ABIA strongly emphasizes the significance of a thorough research. So seek referrals, delve into verified wedding reviews and testimonials, and take the time to meet the potential celebrants in person. Now, the average wedding celebrant cost in Australia is $924. However, there are many different types of ceremonies. Longer and more personalised and tailored service may cost upwards of $1,200. So consider what you want for your ceremony and budget accordingly. And now, average cost of a wedding in New South Wales, because it's with the highest number of marriages because it is the most populous state in Australia, stands at 35.3%. And it also takes the wedding cake for the highest average wedding expenditure, standing at $49,900, basically $50,000. And the average original wedding budget is $41,000. And the average number of wedding guests is 102 people. And average number of interstate guests is 14 people and international guests 5 people. Now looking at the breakdown of all the bits that make up a wedding. Photography up next. Look, photography is important. It captures the wedding day. So I guess a lot of people want to hire a professional photographer. And because, you spent that much money on your wedding, so you want to capture memories of it and in the best possible light. And on the recent survey, the average cost of a wedding photographer in Australia is $3,389. So, and many couples look for a mix of candid and pose photographs for their wedding day. Now, wedding dress. For most brides, the wedding dress costs will often represent one of the most expensive items of clothing they'll ever buy in their lifetime. And the average wedding dress budget comes in at $2,502. 3/4 of brides purchase their dress brand new, and a further 17% have their gown custom made. Given it is a highly emotive purchase, 69% of brides keep their wedding gown to cherish. It just mentions about buying, though I guess the mainstream, that's what they do. But in a lot of communities, you can actually hire a dress, which a lot of people in the Asian community do. And so that lowers your cost of your wedding. because it's a dress you only wear once anyway. So you're never not going to wear it again. So why not just hire? Okay. Wedding cars are next. For your wedding, it isn't just about getting from point A to point B. It's about making an entrance in the most stylish way possible and also how it would look in the photographs as well. And also finding an experienced driver you can rely on. And the average wedding car cost in Australia is $1,192. And the two most popular wedding car styles among Australian couples are vintage and classic. I mean, why not? I've heard of some fronting up in a limousine, but limousines now seem almost tacky, so to speak. So most people go vintage or classic. Now, video graphics. 73% of all couples surveyed are choosing to have their wedding filmed. And of these, 78% will engage a professional videographer. Wedding videography has become increasingly in recent years as couples don't want to miss out on capturing the raw emotions of the wedding day. And I say, why not if you've already spent that much on your wedding? And they cost an average $3,389, about the same as a photographer. However, if you're on the fence about hiring a videographer and worried about the costs, you can find a supplier that can offer both photography and videography at the same time to save money. Now, wedding music. Whether it's a live band or a killer DJ, having good wedding music at your wedding can make or break your night, because this is basically entertainment. And you want to make sure that your chosen wedding music supplier can create the perfect ambience for your ceremony while ensuring the dance floor remains packed during the reception. Come on, you just don't want people just sitting around and eating and talking and then that's it. It's so boring that way. So on average, Australian couples will need to budget $2,037 for their wedding music costs. The most popular option is a DJ, because that is also the cheapest, as I understand it. It also provides a wider range of music. Whatever you want, they can just whack it on with a disc. And followed by a band DJ combo, and for a fewer couples, an acoustic duo. Now, wedding flowers. Well, stunning flowers will elevate the look and feel of your wedding day and bringing your theme together. And according to the most recent survey, the average Australian couple spent $2,444 for their wedding flowers costs. And I'm surprised it is actually that low, given, the bride's bouquet, flowers for the bridesmaids as well, and for the groom, and for the tables. I expected it to be a bit more, because most people would just go to the florist to order it done. And anyone that's ordered things from the florist, it's not cheap. Okay. Now, for those that want to cut costs a bit more, and instead of going to a venue, they go for catering. Look, making sure your guests are well fed is crucial in planning a wedding, because it can take up a significant chunk of your overall budget. And the average wedding catering cost in Australia was $6,308. And many Australian couples are sticking with the traditional alternate drop meals, while 44% opted for various other styles, including finger food, buffets, grazing tables, food trucks, and feasting platters. Now, wedding hire venues. Bringing extra furniture or hiring decor for your wedding. The average cost of a wedding hire furniture and decor items was $2,421. It's been down from the previous year. So if you're interested in bringing things like marquees, ceremony chairs, and things like that. So that's wedding hire. Now, formal wear. Grooms or groomsmen, formal wear costs will come in around $2,169. It can depend on how many people you have as part of your wedding party and who is helping with the costs. The average couple will have 8 people in their wedding party, including themselves. So this works out to be the traditional benchmark of 3 groomsmen. If you're having more people in your wedding party, then of course you need to alter your budget accordingly. Now, decorations. Okay, this is separate from a wedding hire, and it comes about a styling aspect of your wedding theme. And it could be anything from specialty linens and napkins to a custom ceremony or personalized sign welcoming guests into your reception. Most couples will spend around $2,443 for their wedding decorations costs, but this number can vary significantly depending on your wedding vision and whether you're working with a stylist or designer. Now, bridesmaid dresses. Okay, when it comes to bridesmaid dresses, most couples spend an average of $806 on the total cost of their bridesmaid dresses. So they're likely to spend less than $200 on each dress, while another 32% will spend between $200 and $400 on each dress. However, it's not just going to end there. There's hair and makeup as well, and then there's shoes as well. And this is one thing I always thought that, well, at least in Asian weddings and so forth, in traditions, that the couple actually pays for everything regarding the bridesmaid, the dress, the hair, the makeup, the shoes, and the bouquet. It's because, well, you're asking someone to do you a favor and be a bridesmaid for you. So it's only right that you cover the expenses of that because they're putting in their time, their day for you. But apparently, according to Aussie tradition, the bridesmaid have to pay for themselves. I don't understand that. And I don't know why a bridesmaid would be willing to do that. Because I've heard of a couple of stories. Well, later on, the bride and groom came and said they spent more on their wedding than they planned to. So can you help them out by paying for yourselves? Your wear bridesmaid dresses and so forth. And to me, that smacks of a really rude, though. If you can't afford a bridesmaid to pay for stuff for the bridesmaid, don't have them. Really, it's rude. It smacks of like you're asking for someone to, buddy, can you come around and help me paint the fence this weekend? And if the person's nice enough and saying, okay, I'll come and help you. And then before that weekend, oh, look, buddy, you're coming around to help me paint the fence, but I spent so much money on the renovations. I'm a bit short. Do you mind buying the paint as well and coming to help me paint? Really? Like I say, how rude can you be? What's the difference? Really? Yeah, that is something I completely don't understand and I don't agree with. You can't afford it. You afford bridesmaid and groomsmen to pay for them, don't have them. Simple as that. Now, invitations. And they cost around $945. And that comes with the cost of stamps as well. And I find that to be rather, that is a cost I was surprised about. So I guess, now in the day and age, you can cut that cost by sending it digitally. I mean, digital invitations cost almost nothing now. Email them out. So that can be a factor in bringing down that cost. Next is the wedding cake. Your wedding cake may be one of the most delicious and expensive desserts you'll ever buy. And the average wedding cake costs $650. Ordering a wedding cake that's large enough to feed all your guests can certainly be a money saver as you can serve the cake after dinner without having to spend more on extra desserts. And I guess, that price is about right. I mean, anyone who's ordered a cake, even a birthday cake, would know that it's at least $100 now for a decent one. A pretty good one, a pretty larger one. Though if you're expecting a wedding cake, then it's like all of a sudden any supplier, as soon as they hear a wedding, the prices just shoot up. There's all a mirage of excuses. Why? but that's around the same thing. And I've heard of people, spending $1,000 on the wedding cake. Someone told me once, and I guess he said, oh, it was a magnificent cake. Anyway, to each their own. Hair and makeup. But couples should budget approximately $895 for their wedding hair and makeup costs. 64% of hair and makeup artists used by these couples are completely dedicated to serving weddings only. And I guess $895 though, I think that this only covers the bride now. I think most people, most makeup artists are charging easily $500 just for makeup now for the bride for the big day. So what about bridesmaids too? Let's see. And this is extra costs. Photo booths are a fun addition to your wedding reception, and you can expect to spend about $1,007 on photo booth hire for your wedding, with a variety of booths to decide between. So couple preferences are fairly and evenly distributed between the traditional enclosed photo booth, one run by their photographer, and innovative booths as well, and Polaroid style photo booths. Now, bomboneri, it doesn't happen in every wedding, but it's one of the final touches that you'll purchase in the lead up to your wedding, and it's wedding favors, also known as wedding favors. Wedding bomboneri costs an average of $889, which with most couples spending up to $5 to $10 on each favor for their wedding guests. So for those not familiar, they're what you usually find on the reception table as a little gift, a little memento to each guest, both as a decoration and also as a token of something to remember the wedding by. So that is it for weddings and wedding costs. Weddings are kind of, some are a nightmare to arrange. Sometimes they cause the source of arguments as to preferences, because sometimes the parents want to be controlling, especially if they're paying for the wedding, want things their own way, what they want, and couples push back. And some couples, by all rights, I guess, if whoever's paying for it, they should have the say. So I've heard of instances where one party pays but has no input to how it's spent, and the other party spends whatever it's their way, even though it's someone else's money, which I don't think is right. Whoever pays for it has the most say, actually should have sole say. If you're not happy with that, then pay for your own wedding. That's the right thing to do. Whoever pays for it has the say.